It is 7 p.m. Call to order. We'll come back to that. First, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Shall we have a quick roll of attendance? I have a purpose.
Oh, Laura Carlton here.
And Jeff Clark is here, and
Bill Peterson,
Bill, could you give us a quick introduction, please?
former township trustee, served on the planning commission for 4 years. Lived here my entire life.
Thank you. Welcome back. Very good. Consideration of the agenda. Are there any items to change? Any issues with the agenda as written? Hearing none, we'll adopt by consent. Conflicts of interest? Any of the members?
Nope.
Hearing none, moving on. Approval of meeting minutes from October 2025 as included in the packet. Are there comments, questions, additions?
Thought they looked
Motion?
good.
Okay, motion to adopt maybe? I'll move to adopt the minutes from October 2025. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Adopted. Any public comment on agenda items other than public hearing, of which there is none?
Yes, Rita.
Hopefully, this won't take more than 4 minutes.
We'll allow it.
All right, just, oh, wait a minute, this is the package. I don't have the packet. So let me get myself organized here. First of all, good evening. I want to apologize for not previously attending meetings between my Monday night Bible studies and put it on the calendar. So anyway, here I am. My overall perspective is basically threefold. Number one, there are numerous typos, factual errors, and missing data in the document as it exists. For example, I'm not sure if you guys have the package.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Sure,
Which document are we referring
the
to?
one that's in the package,
The recreation plan.
Park and Rec.
Got it, thank you.
So I'm not sure if you have the packet in front of you. You wanted to follow along. But after the acknowledgements and let's see, there is a page that says list of maps, tables, and figures of which there is none. It's a blank page.
I know that this is public comment. We don't fill that in until we finalize the document because things move throughout the document. So it's a continuous struggle to update that. So none of the figures are numbered. They're not referenced in any specific spot because we come back to that afterwards.
But I thought the thing was already voted and approved on and moving forward. So wouldn't that be the final copy?
No, I mean, we have a public hearing still to go through before it's adopted. And so that's our policy is we don't finalize any of that until we get to the draft that's going to be done and adopted.
Okay, all right, so then then all the typos and things like that, so I'll
Right.
skip that. So just one of then the factual errors, then if you turn to page 21, where you talk about road ends. So I'm not sure whether the road ends, whether the township owns them or the county owns them, but there's no mention that there's really no parking allowed at the road ends. That because they're county roads, so I think that's a pretty strong fact that's completely omitted from this document. So that is basically number one of my threefold thing. Number two is that I'm not quite understanding how this is a plan, actually. Because what it does, it appears to me to be an accumulation of opinions driven by about 38% of the township, without addressing not only the logistics, but also the feasibility and how the township is going to finance these. So my other third overall factor is that the documents actually seem to have a contradictory undertone. So if you look at page 24 in your document, on page 24, in the lower right-hand corner, it talks about how Torch Lake is primarily a destination community chosen for its natural amenities and lifestyle benefits. Now you go to page 25, at the bottom of page 25, and the top of page 26, where it says, well, you know what? Many residents have concerns about attracting tourists. So, I mean, honestly, it seems to imply that it says, hey, welcome to Torch Lake, but keep right on driving through. That they want all these things, but just keep right on driving. So specifically, I wanted to draw, besides those are the three overall factors, I wanted to draw your attention to the table of contents. So in the table of contents, in particular, numbers 4 and 5, you talk about a planning process. But I don't know, isn't it really more just survey results? I don't know what the process was. There's no description of the process. It's just a bunch of survey results. So I'm not really sure what the planning process was. And as we talk about the implementation, it's like, all right, implementation of 456 people with about 25%, which is about 25% of the township deciding what the plan is going to be for the township. Then if you turn to page 25, and the top right paragraph, it says, this overwhelming consensus represents a rare opportunity for township leadership to pursue ambitious environmental protection measures with strong community backing. I mean, really? How many people in this township had hissy fits over the board passing time of transfer septic inspections? And this is what we have in our master plan. Now we go to page 32. And 32, this is one of the typos in the goal where it says opportunities. So we want to provide, and I know it's just a goal, indoor and outdoor recreational opportunities. Again, if you look at your statistics, on page 26, it says 34% of 417 people want pickleball courts. That's 12% of the township. So how realistic and feasible is this goal? Then, if you go to the next page, where we talk about looking at creating a recreational committee or combining the existing committees to move recreational properties forward. I'm sorry, but I think this is completely ludicrous. I mean, I'm a member of the Day Park Committee. I'm also the secretary of that committee. And honestly, I've never seen one of these PC members at a Day Park Committee. And I've never seen any of the board members at a Day Park Committee except for the supervisor. And then do you know how many residents actually attend these Day Park committees? Nobody. Nobody. Yet here's a group of people who have these grandiose ideas about creating a recreational committee, Nobody wants to up to the plate. There's only 4 people that are working that day park committee during the summer. Nobody's there otherwise to help. Nobody there is in the nature preserve to help pick up the nature preserve. But here's a group of people saying, oh, let's create a recreational committee and put that in front of the board. And in fact, they tried to do that. A member of the day park committee brought that in front of the board a couple of years ago. And the board said, no, it's not the board's job. If people want to do that, they can do that. Now we have this as part of a plan, as part of a recreational committee. So, I mean, I just wanted to let you guys know what my thoughts were on the way it sits right now. So I just appreciate your time and letting me walk you through my concerns and the way it sits right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment?
None.
Okay. Moving on. Any correspondence to report?
I have none.
None and none. Thank you. Moving forward to unfinished business, the recreation plan. So we did tentatively adopt this plan subject to the few comments which were added in, particularly in the goals and objectives section, I believe, right? We updated those as we discussed. And again, there's some administrative matters to take care of to finalize this. And of course, it's going to the board tomorrow night for review, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
Is it on the
so,
agenda for tomorrow?
yeah, at the October meeting, the planning commission sent it on, so the process moving forward is it needs to go through a 30-day public process, and the board would need to authorize that distribution. Following that, there's a public hearing that's required prior to adoption, and the board will take all of that action on it for adoption. So the planning commission, you know, you kind of functioned as the body that drafted it and reviewed it, being that you're working on the master plan. So a lot of the information that's provided is similar, and we did the survey and the open house all at the same time for both plans to combine that. So yes, tomorrow night it is on the agenda. It's going to be for discussion only though tomorrow night, just in light of some additional, you know, comments such as Rita's, and then other board members will probably have some comments as well to make changes to it, to get another set of eyes on it as well before it goes out. So
Okay, good. Thank
that's
you.
what you guys wanted to bring it back just to make sure that I made the edits that you talked about.
Yes.
And if there was anything additional that if I didn't do it correctly or missed something, I was just going to take that verbally back to the board meeting tomorrow night. So.
Okay. So anyone, Bill, you're getting a first look at it. Any particular comments? Of course, we're going from a position currently where we don't have a current in-place Parks and Rec plan. So we're trying to implement it in particular so we could have the opportunity to get any grants that were available in the
I
coming
was going to
years.
say, it seems to me like a placeholder for future grants, et cetera, because you have to have something on the books.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a bit the reason for the accelerated, trying to get it to the board and get it approved. So it's in place by next year. And obviously there's a lot of nod to, we'll refine this over time and improve it over time.
Well, it's probably a living document that doesn't mean that everything in this has to come true tomorrow or anything like that. It probably just is a starting point, I'm assuming.
Right. And we looked back at the plan from 2011 and there were a number of items. In fact, we pulled some of them back in because there are a number of things that are still ongoing. And there's always the financial aspect of it too, right? We're not, I don't think the board's going to give us $1 million to buy a new park. So we can ask.
And I will again state that we could use some pictures for the document. So if you have any pictures that you'd like to include, I'll give you credit for it, you know, for anything recreational wise. Scarlett's very lonely in the plan. She needs company.
I have a source. She happens to be here.
So yeah, there's some blank spaces on the pages. The intent would be to add in some images to give it a little color, break up the text a little bit.
Right. Personally, I was happy with the changes you made. I thought they were consistent with our discussion. I think it's a good starting place. We've got some ideas, some direction, and enough that we can seek additional community input on additional ideas.
And I'd like to also say, really appreciated the tightening up of the goal, the second goal. Having heard public comment, I hope that it can be communicated. This is indeed a document to help us get funding so that we can be more efficient, particularly in our maintenance and facilitate more outdoor, especially with the trail. It was highly supported through the public comment from our citizens. So I really appreciate your work, Sarah, and I think it's ready to go on.
Great. Yeah, that's a good point. I would have to say that thumb in the wind, 2/3 of the comments, at least over the last year, have been about recreation items, haven't they?
Right.
So anything you'd like to?
I agree. It's
Okay.
good. I'm happy to have it. And I agree with Rita. It's too bad we didn't get more input. I hope that going forward, we get more input from people. So
Of course, absolutely. Okay, so I don't think there's anything formal we need to do, Sarah, right? We've
Nope.
already adopted it, moved it forward. We're not adding any further comments. We're just recommending it up to the board, already on their agenda. And we'll wait to hear the comments back at our next meeting. Okay. With that, moving to new business. First item is election of officers.
It is that time of the year. Your chair, Andy, is vice chair. Laura is secretary. You can do your election of officers in any way that you like. Andy cannot be chair. We talked about that whenever that wasn't a year ago, but whenever we did that, I think, maybe was it already a year ago? It must have been, because he got on the board a year ago, the township board, so,
Yes,
Has
it
it been a
was with
year?
a little bit of delay and
Yeah.
rewrite of the bylaws.
yeah,
But yes,
yep. So,
started a year ago.
yeah, if you want to do individual offices and nominate them, that's fine. If somebody wants to nominate the current slate, that's fine. However you want to go through the process to get your officers appointed.
So it is acceptable to nominate the current slate to
Yeah.
continue?
Mhm.
I'd like to nominate the current slate to continue.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Other nominations? Okay,
With Andy not being here, can we go forward?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
we have a quorum.
I didn't talk to him about it, but there's no change.
We can always change later on. We
Yes.
can always
Yep.
re-elect another officer. All right, then the motion on the table, I believe, is to reappoint the current slate of officers for the Planning Commission for the following year. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Congratulations. Next is bylaw review, also required for us to do.
Yeah, and you just did this in June because we did update, remember, to go from 7 members to 5 members, but just to keep you on the rotation with kind of the November and your organizational meeting, if there were any additional changes that you might have to the document.
Right, I think we've updated the language in succession and cleaned up some of the duplicative entries and updated the agenda item listing. So,
Yeah, I can't believe that we didn't catch a couple of things, like as far as the
Yeah, and that's what I was just
There were a
looking
couple
at
things
too,
that I
and was
noticed, like, man, I know that we looked at this a few times.
well, and I think every time we make changes too, whatever, I need to cut and paste it without any formatting and start over,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but
that can always be a-
so that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what they were in before, but you try to move one thing and
Mhm.
so.
They got
Yep.
converted from one
some-
document to another, right?
Yeah, from,
Okay.
either from PDF at one time or from, like WordPerfect to Word or something, so. I can do that, but content wise, was there anything that we needed to update or change?
There's just one thing that was like in there twice. If I could get to it. On page 6 at the very top. If it's not exactly the same, it's about the same.
Which one?
A and B.
Oh, like one's amendment in the master plan and the other one is amendment to the zoning ordinance, so they actually are
Oh,
different.
okay, all right, my bad. Oh, good then. That was all I saw.
Okay.
Okay.
Personally, I didn't have any other comments, I thought. Anyone? Bill, Denise? Okay, can we have a motion to adopt the bylaws, subject to fixing typos? I'll make a motion. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Lastly, in new business, according to the agenda, we have the 2026 meeting calendar. So we know currently we're on Monday, third Monday of the month. Any comments, concerns, reasons for changes?
You still like 7 o'clock?
Whatever, just not
Does the
5.
administrator have a proposal?
No, I just, whatever works. The ZBA moved to 6 o'clock. They've done 6 o'clock for a couple of years on their meetings. Township board's at 7 o'clock. I don't know if anybody has a preference one way or another to time of day.
Sometimes I find 6 o'clock can be a little early, just trying
Yeah.
to.
Depends on the time of the year, right? The summer, 6, even 7's too early, and in the wintertime, 5's too late.
Yeah, just with professional responsibilities and things you can,
That's true. It's nice to have that extra time. I agree.
Yeah.
so.
So we would just need a motion to set the calendar for the third Monday at 7.
I'll make that motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Is there any other new business anyone wants to raise? Not on the agenda. Moving on to reports. Sarah, zoning administrator.
Yeah, so I have a report in the board packet, but it was not in your packet related to kind of planning and zoning functions that we have. We haven't had any ZBA meeting recently since June. There is going to be a ZBA meeting on Wednesday for organizational administrative just approval, which I guess, Jeff, I just stole your thunder for that report. But so ZBA meeting, there have been a number of enforcement items, and then we're up to 62 permits for the year for the zoning office. And let me double check to see what we were at last year, because that doesn't really tell you anything unless you can compare it to something else. So for October of last year, we had, looks like 45.
So a little ahead.
Yeah, so we have 62 in comparison of that. So everything's kind of moving along. Don't really have too much to report individually. It's slowed down definitely since we got through kind of September, October, at least phone call wise and email wise things, which is typical for the fall. We never really stop because people are planning for next year and getting permits for their construction to start in the spring. So, and I don't have any, I haven't been talking to anybody about special use permits or site plans or anything like that. So I don't anticipate any of that for you guys. In the near future, we'll just keep working on the master plan kind of into the new year.
Very good. Thank you. Representative ZBA, there's a meeting tomorrow finally, or Wednesday, finally. That's the only report. Board representative, I don't know, Bob, anything you want to communicate on? Please, we'd love to hear it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for a lot of hard work. I haven't attended the meetings. I have kept in touch with Sarah. A lot of effort. The open house was fantastic. We had a lot of people come out. A lot of people were grinning at my shirt sleeve to talk to me about some of the things you had on the schedule. So I want to thank you for that, but the job's not quite done. One of the things that I looked at is the timetable for having a public hearing. I do not believe that we should have a public hearing anytime sooner than June. A lot of our public is gone, 40% roughly, 50 at some point. And my feeling is that public hearing should give everybody an opportunity. And even though people can watch it online and whatever, I think we should be focused on giving the greatest amount of people the chance to come and talk about this plan. There's one item that I had on page 32. You mentioned work with the township board to look at zoning changes that would set aside open space for recreation and new subdivision developments. Folks, you're the planning commission. If you think this needs to be changed, that's your job. You bring it to the board and we get the county to approve it. But you need, if this is an item that you think the township board should come up with, I think you're wrong. I think you need to look at it and figure out, hold the hearings, get input on it, and then come to the board with your recommendation. Other than that, you guys, I really appreciate your time and I'm glad you're on the board. Welcome, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you. That does it for reports. Do we have any additional public comment? Seeing none. Concerns of the commission. The opportunity again to say that the recreation plan is a great idea. First place. Any members have any comments, concerns, items of general interest?
I hope that we can keep with the schedule that we have, that we were shooting for, to have this in February, to be able to submit in February. Are we out of line for that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the board is going to talk about it tomorrow night, and I think Bob's going to propose his timeline, and it's all kind of in the board's hands now.
Okay.
My memo that was in the packet, kind of as a cover memo for the plan, talks about timelines and deadlines for if there's any grant applications that would go in next year for funding. I'm not sure if there's any plans to apply for any grants, at least like from TART and all of that, because that would be the biggest motivator if they're looking to apply for something to get it in by the February 1st deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, right. Let's be clear. That's the trail coming is a big motivator, right?
Right.
To get the plan adopted and moving forward. Okay, very good. If there is nothing else, I think we'll have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:30, if I can read that.
Wow.
Please sign this before you go.